Hey everyone, Felice Gerwitz here, and I want to share with you something that is dear to my heart, and that is saving you money. Can you use encouragement for your homeschool journey? Have you been searching for an online learning program designed to ground your family in a Christian worldview? Well, now you can at MediaAngelsMembership.com. Our affordable membership packages fit your budget and busy life. Now you can access customized membership packages for your homeschooling family from the extensive Media Angels library of books, classes, and Bible studies. You may select the ebook bundle, the creation bundle, the premium bundle, or the forever bundle. Each bundled set will save you vast amounts of money, and you can use it for the whole family. So go to MediaAngelsMembership.com for more information. That's MediaAngelsMembership.com. You'll be glad you did.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at MediaAngels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Hey everyone, and welcome. This is Felice Gerwitz with an episode of Vintage Homeschool Moms. And today we are going to be talking about time management with kids and actually with teens. And today I have a special guest on the line. And some of you who are big fans of the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network will already recognize this name, and that is Vicki Tillman, who is one of the voices behind the Homeschool Highschool Podcast. Welcome, Vicki.
Hi, Felice. Thanks for asking me on today.
Oh, I'm delighted because you are everything high school, you and the Seven Sisters Homeschool.
Yeah.
So share with us a little bit about, your home, your business, whatever you want to share with the listeners.
Yeah. So Sabrina and Kim and I are part of not only the Homeschool Highschool podcast team, but also Seven Sisters Homeschool. And what we do is we blog and write about all things homeschooling high school, even some younger grades, but we really concentrate on high school. And then we also have curriculum that's been developed for our teens because we found very many years ago that our teens had opinions and all kinds of different needs. And so when we couldn't find a curriculum that met that, we would find a way to develop it. So now as all of our kids have graduated, we have taken on the calling of Titus II moms, where we're investing in the next generation. So invite everybody to check out the podcast and also Seven Sisters just for freebies and encouragement. So anyway, I have 5 kids. They've all graduated high school, and now they've all graduated college. So I have the baby is now starting his second year as a public school music education teacher. So he works with an elementary school. And my second son teaches at a local private school. He teaches middle school history and geography. And my daughter, right in the middle, I had one daughter, and she is a professional photographer and does very fascinating work as a photographer she has a business and pays the bills, and it's just amazing because that's not my head. And then my 2 oldest have PhDs, and both of those are teachers, one at University of South Florida, and one teaches the online high school for Stanford University. So
Cool.
all kinds of different teachers. Yeah, except for my one girl who's the only one not in education. And this is because there's not one right way to be a human being. So that's the way it works.
And I did an episode with you on encouraging your children in life skills and things that we as parents sometimes have to step away from some of the things that we think our children need in lieu of encouragement. And so we'll put that link also in the show notes, as well as all of your links,
Yes.
Vicki.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about something that is an oxymoron for me anyway, and that is time. Because, as always, everybody says, I don't have enough time and I can't get everything in, and there's too many things that are required for high school. And how do I encourage my high schooler to do the things that they need to do to get done and not nag and all of that. So it's been interesting to see how my homeschool life had changed, from my two oldest when I homeschooled high school them, to the three youngest. The last one I graduated in actually it was like 2018. So it's only been, it seems like this is his third year of college. So yeah, that's right. But, so it's, different things happened in our homeschool to make everything work. Plus my kids are athletes, and that added a whole nother layer on. They were very serious athletes. We never had to, the last three never had to tell them to practice, or, that they took after their dad. I can't even walk in the door without tripping.
I understand that. Yes.
I'm a good cheerleader, though. I can yell. I don't know. Yes,
that's
right?
important too. That's a gift also. Yeah.
But you've done this a while. Plus, you also, if moms are stuck, Vicki, they may not know that you also have a coaching aspect, that you will work with parents. Share about that.
So at Seven Sisters, several of us do coaching on homeschool topics. And you can find tabs for that, where we help moms choose curriculum and little time management and things like that. But in my other hat in life, the way I paid my homeschool bills was I do counseling and coaching, life coaching and career coaching at a practice in Newark, Delaware. And I have been doing that now for getting close to 30 years, and have had to learn time management skills in order to juggle all those hats. So that's kind of our topic for today, I think, right? It's, if people are interested in seeing the kind of things I do with life coaching and career coaching, they can check out VickiTillmanCoaching.com, and there's freebies and posts and things like that they can look at. So, but part of that coaching is doing time management, because I think for us Americans, especially in the digital age where there are always notifications popping up and too many tabs open, it's really hard to keep our time under control.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about like maybe the top 5 things that parents need to know, especially, with their teens. And one of the things I'll encourage moms and dads, don't wait until your children are teenagers. If you've got them at that age, great. We can work with whatever we have, because we're flexible, because we're homeschool parents. We just make it work. But encourage it as the kids are younger. I never realized how important that is as we're working with our children, to continuously encourage them. Like one of the things I used to say to my kids was, by you understanding right and wrong, when you get older and you're an adult, you're going to know what that means. And you won't ever be the person who, does the wrong thing. And they would just look at me, all of like 10 going, what is she talking about now? But when they're younger, we can start enlisting some of these skills and encouraging them. And that's one of the things I have on the network at the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. You can sign up for our free e-zine, and that has links to the planners that we give away once a month for anyone who joins our email list. And when you do, you will find out when, Vicki's next show is, and so forth. And you'll have links to all of the podcasts each week that goes directly to that podcast. So That's one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to sign up for that. But okay, so time management. How do we make the
Yeah.
most out of our day when you've got the little kids, they're up before, sunlight, and when your kids get older and they're teenagers, it's hard to get them out of bed by 10. So,
Yeah.
what are some ideas that can help our parents here?
So one of the things that I think helps, especially when you are at the place where you have multiple ages in the house, is to remember our friend Colleen Kessler once said at one of the 2-to-1 conferences that every day we wake up as moms and have lots of balls to juggle, and every day we have to decide which ones we need to drop. And to know that as moms, we have this picture in our heads of what we really want to accomplish. But we have to let God guide our footsteps and to be able to humbly set aside the things that just aren't going to happen in the chaos of a day. But there are some things that we have to learn to structure and manage so that we can actually get education done with everybody that needs that. So I have some ideas that I have used with my kids in our local homeschoolers that I've worked with over the years when I did 18 years as academic advisor with our local umbrella school and helping kids. So what I noticed with teens is one, yeah, there's a lot of them that love to sleep till 10. And sometimes that's not a battle you want to argue about. And sometimes it is. And it kind of takes a prayerful, what character, thing are we developing right now? But one of the things to do is to notice that there's not one kind of high schooler, and that some kids are the kind that need you to help them learn to manage their time. Because they will just game all day, or they'll check out YouTubes all day, and they just have a natural distractibility or go with the flowness, and so they need some structures and some tools. And then there's some kids who are born structured. They get up in the morning and they want to get everything done, and they are working really hard. And those kids, you have to teach them time management so they learn to turn that off and rest and hang out and let their brains and bodies do some other things besides being productive. So to know your kids and to allow God to show you what they need and help work with them in that way. So I'll start with the easy ones, the ones that are naturally structured and will overwork themselves. One of the things that I suggest is to teach them how to do a time audit. So it's really simply put, a time audit, and
I
this is good
love
for
it.
moms
Yeah.
too. Yeah. One of my friends, when I had multiple kids in the home, and I was, working as a counselor and homeschooling and leading in the homeschool community, so all these balls were juggling. And one of my friends, who's in the corporate world, sat me down and she said, "Vicki, you need to sit down prayerfully and do a time audit, so you're making sure that you are not doing something you're not supposed to be doing. The danger of saying yes to
Mm-hmm.
everything." And so this is what she taught me to do. And I have been doing this every year now for many years. And it's so calibrating. So you have the teen every day log down their activities of the whole day, every single activity that they can think of that they have done. Sit down at the end of the day and write them down. Or if they're the type that will carry a notebook around with them and log it down, they can do that. But write down every single thing they did and how much time they did it. And then after the end of a week or 2 weeks, if there's a lot of variety in the things that you do, you make a pie chart of those activities. And you look at the slices of pie. So big slice of pie for sleep, this slice of pie for meals, this slice of pie for study, this slice of pie for chores, this for extracurriculars, this is for friend time, this is for chilling and watching television or whatever. All the pieces of pie are there. And then you ask the teen, sit down with them and say, is this how I want my pie to look? Are there things that I need to change? Like I need more time for devotions, or I haven't spent any time with a friend in weeks. And so what you do then is help them kind of redraw that pie that so that it looks like a work-life balance, and they have time for the appropriate self-care so that they stay healthy and don't get too anxious. And so for us moms, if we do the same, we will find sometimes that we have slices of pie that aren't useful, like the death scroll on Facebook. It never stops. They keep it going. And say like, okay, I can check Facebook once a day and that's it. So, time audit is just a wonderful thing for the type of kids who can't turn off, who they're just overstructured. Okay. But most teens are not that way. If you've noticed, if you've got more than one teen, probably most of them are more they like to free range. Right. And they like to relax and chill and hang out, and it's good to be a teen, but they also have to develop those skills that they will need to be successful in college or at work, showing up on time, doing all the things you're supposed to do on time, applying to college on time, financial aid on time, getting papers in on time. So they learn all of that in high school when you teach them time management tools. So you want to hear some time management tools for those teens?
Yes. And I really like the time audit. I think that can put things in perspective, because you don't realize how much you do, spend on different things. I have a 1-week promotion going on. I tend to stay off of social media because I have enough people who are on it for me. But today I had to go and answer some questions and some things, and I did that death scroll. I think I spent like 30 minutes, and I have this other project I'm doing right now, and I didn't even realize it. I thought I was on there 5 minutes. So you have to look at these things and say, what is it that and not, again, you want. That might be your kids' downtime, right? They might really enjoy that social aspect of it. So it's not like it has to be completely gone. But I think when people see how much time they typically spend on that kind of thing, then they can put that in perspective and say, okay, I'll put a timer on, or, work on that.
Yeah. And they know they can bring some clues in from outside, like set a timer, to help them to remember to stop and move on to the next thing.
Wonderful.
So, yeah. All right. So one of the ways for kids who are not the naturally structured ones is to teach them to use a syllabus. And it's there's not one kind of syllabus, but the way we have worked with our kids is our syllabi tend to be, it lists the curriculum and all that, so it looks like a formal thing. But it has a day-to-day, these are what you're going to do each day assignment. And so teens can look at that and know what they need to accomplish in each of their courses. And so if you hand a teen a syllabus and say, this is how you use it. Today, you're going to look at this and you're going to accomplish this. And when you've done that, you're done. Then they can start learning independent study skills and knowing they have to keep at something until they're through with that day's assignment. So a lot of times, we moms hope that our kids have internalized that and can just pace themselves. But some teens really do need that outside structure that says, this is exactly what you're going to cover today, and then you get to stop. So a syllabus is a really helpful way to do that.
So let me stop you. So, which is exactly what you get in college. You get that list, and you have 4 papers you need to do that year, and you have 6 tests that are going to be assigned, and so forth. So if someone is using a specific curriculum, let's just say a science textbook, they could basically, as parents, go through that book and say, these are the things that I expect by week's end. And if you want to do it all in a day, that's great. And if not, then you're going to be doing this every day. And so do you sit there with your children and help them figure out how much time it should take them, or how does that work?
That that really varies with the teen. A lot of teens, when they're just starting to structure themselves, learn how to use the syllabus, um, you really have to sit with them and pace that out, and actually get out a scheduling tool
Okay.
and write, I'm going to spend X amount of time on it. Some kids will just sit down with the syllabus and plug through on their own. I have found that what really matters is that moms check in regularly and make sure what was agreed upon actually
Okay.
gets done. And so whether that's a weekly check-in or a daily check-in, that teens who are not naturally structured, if they're not going to have a check-in, they ain't going to
Right.
do it. But that's like, we grown-ups, when we're in the workforce, very often we'll have one-to-one with bosses, check in, how are things going? And that's the same kind of thing with teens. So what I'd like to do with my kids is to sit down at the beginning of the year, and we've already agreed together on what curriculum we're going to be using, and then discuss how much they want to do, and do they want to do it each day or 3 times a week. And then they will use my kids. Well, the younger ones learn from the older ones who were in college how to use scheduling
Mm-hmm.
tools. And so I asked, I did a little group chat and said, hey, you young people, tell us what you actually use to schedule yourselves, like take your syllabus and put it on a calendar kind of thing. And so some of them I'll tell you what they use. They use Google Calendars, Google Sheets. One of them uses the Homeschool Manager. Some use Trello or
Mm-hmm.
Todoist. A couple of them keep it really simple and just put reminders on their
Right.
phone. Uh, some of the creative ones do bullet journals. Some of the old-fashioned ones use paper calendars or old-fashioned planners, with a paper, because they like paper. So, like, there's not one right way. And some kids don't need to put every single thing on a calendar. They just need to put when projects are due and when to start working on a project, because that they'll be overwhelmed if too much is on there. The hard thing is figuring out what's going to work with your teen. And the most important thing to do is, when you start out teaching them how to manage time, is to check in with them often. Because a lot of times the first year of high school, like ninth grade, or if you're coming in after they've already started high school, they're adjusting to managing themselves. And so it takes a lot of like daily check-ins or weekly check-ins to make sure that they are managing things on their own. So anyway, start with the syllabus. If they need more accountability, like they need to know at 9 o'clock I'm doing this, 10 o'clock I'm doing that, you put it on one of those scheduling tools. And if they don't need that, I'll tell you what, we use the scheduling tools. If you don't need every single minute planned out, my kids have used the schedulers for big projects and papers and
Mm-hmm.
exams. So if they have a test in a book, they'll write what day the test is, what day a paper is, and then they go backwards a certain amount of time. So, like if it's a test, they'll go back a week. If it's a paper due, they'll go back 2 or 3 weeks. If it's a research paper, they go back a month. And then they say, start working on paper, or start studying for tests, or start working on project. And then they put markers on the calendars. 5 days later, they say be X amount through with the paper, or be X amount ready for
Very
the
good.
test. And so they have these little
Yeah.
little reminders. This is what you want to
Good.
accomplish. So, and that's things that they can carry then into the workforce. When they go off and get a job and they have a project to work on, they already have the skills to manage their time on that. Excuse me. If they're going off to college, they definitely need that. So that's there's a download at Seven Sisters that Sabrina did called Scheduling Backwards. And it has how to do that on there, because that's how I learned to do it many years ago from Sabrina. I don't get time management on my own. I have to learn it from
Right.
other people.
that's what I ended up having to do too, because I'm more of the go with the flow, and I will get it all done. Before I married my husband, who is the consummate procrastinator, why do today what you can do tomorrow? And I was the
Right,
one
right.
who, back in the day when we actually went to the library and checked out books, everyone in college was mad at me because I'd take out every book that, the day of the assignment. But I had to find a balance between that, because when you're a busy mom, that doesn't always happen. And so there has to be a way that you get everything done, but also do it in a timely fashion. I want to throw out one more scheduling tool. We actually use this for our network among my team, and that is Asana, because I've used Trello, and I still use
Oh,
I
yes,
use
yes.
Google Calendars, especially like for things
Mhm.
like this interview and things like that. But I love Asana because it gives me the month at a glance, and then I can give
Mhm.
myself these tasks. And then we can, as parents, if you're using this with your kids, you can put a reminder to yourself that you need to check on the kids, or have them bring you things. And another thing that worked with me, Vicki, was at times my husband is a lot more detailed. He's the perfectionist in the family, and
Mhm.
so he assigned himself a Friday check. So Friday was, even through their
Oh.
teen years, pizza and movie
Mhm.
night. What am I saying? Even when they're in college, it's pizza and movie night
Yes.
when they're home on Friday. And
Yep.
so he would check their work.
Mhm.
And guess what? If it wasn't done, they had Saturday chores plus schoolwork to do, and they hated that. So they knew if
Yeah.
dad was going to be checking, whereas mom might get busy and forget, it was going to,
Mhm.
and that was wonderful for me to have a backup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we always
Yeah.
seem, especially as parents, homeschool moms, that you're always the one doing it. I've met some great homeschool
Yeah.
dads as well. So yay, dads.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
in retrospect, that really helped us a lot. So great. What else do you have
Yeah.
for us? Or are these the main?
That's it. Yeah, the time audits, using a syllabus, and the scheduling backwards skills, and having tools that work, and finding, a tool that fits your personality, I think are things that get teens and moms get started. And then as long as moms are checking in, as long as there's a good, like, I hate to say accountability because it
Yeah, but it's
sounds
truly,
accountability-ish, but
we're
it's true.
accountable
Yeah.
in everything. So I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with that. I love that word, actually.
It's teaching teens that somebody cares enough to check in, and so that they know that what they're doing matters. So even if it's something they don't like, not many kids just like algebra, but it has to be
Right,
done. And so if things are managed time wise, then their free time can be free
right.
range, and that is a beautiful thing for everybody. So that teaching them that work life balance
I
really
love that.
helps.
Also, I think for us especially, I have this desire with my children to let them find their passions when they're homeschooling, because that really helps motivate them. And different children found different things, surprisingly, or not, because your kids are so individual.
Mhm.
And even if that free
Mhm.
time was spent reading, or because you don't, I never begrudge my kids reading time, because I love to read, and I don't let myself read unless I have little blocks of time where I can, because I'm 1,000% or nothing in everything I do. Surprise!
Mhm.
I'm one of those people that has to learn how to put the play in. I
Mhm.
overschedule myself. And so, it was fine, because at least you get to do it when you're a kid, or have time
Yeah.
to do whatever that passion is. For some of my kids, it was sports, and for others it was just downtime or reading. Or my daughter found a love of anthropology and archaeology, and that was Christina, who actually, and this amazing, like when you were saying pray and what does God want you to do? And she always wanted to go on a dinosaur dig. Well, yeah, we'll get right on that and we'll just find a dig for you to, but through homeschooling, through speaking at conferences, we wrote novels for teens, the Truth Seekers Mystery Series. Would you believe that she did get to go to Colorado and participate in a dinosaur dig? I mean, it was ridiculously expensive to pay for the flight to get her to this really out of the way place. But I knew the people who were in charge, and it all worked out. So she minored in anthropology in college. She was a communication major, and she's a homeschool mom now. And, a lot of times people will say things like, well, you're not really using your degree. Yes, I am. I was an educator, and I am educating my kids, which are done now, and I've never stopped. According to them, I've never stopped homeschooling. And also, writing and teaching parents. And so we all use our skills in so many ways. Communication is one of the best skills, especially in this day and time, right? To be able to articulate, never angrily, but always articulate what you believe and think and clarify. And so, there's so many things that we as moms can bring to the table. And no matter what your education is, there were holes in my education. I'm sure there were holes in yours, Vicki. And, grammar was never my friend. I over punctuated and, what do you mean we have to put this semicolon in? And so I had to relearn some things. I really did. And even though I had great college professors that taught us. So I just think that as moms, we can learn with our kids. Now there is so much available. Oh my gosh, even over when I started homeschooling. There's so much more available. And, same with, I'm sure, when you began, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We used to have to beg curriculum providers to provide to homeschoolers.
When did you start homeschooling, Vicki?
Back in the 80s, back when there were still truant officer at the door drills,
Yeah, because I started in 86. Yeah. So, so we, people call us the pioneers, but the school board used to send someone to the house to see that. And after the first year, because I never cared. Yeah, come see what we're doing. Because I, over prepared. But, at one point we found out, no, you're not supposed to do that. And, if they really want to see your stuff. And then as more homeschoolers started homeschooling, they way backed off. They don't do that anymore. But the next year, they actually sent the head of the science department for the county to my home because she had heard about the curriculum that I had created and she wanted to see it and asked for samples, which I thought was hilarious. I also went to a nature center one time and we were at the planetarium and someone had given that lady my creation astronomy book. And she actually taught both a creationist and an evolution perspective of the start of the universe based upon Media Angel's book. And everybody in the audience knew I was there. And of course, they start giggling. And later they were like, go tell her that's you. So I did. I went and introduced myself. And I said, why, who did this? And the person who had given it to her, I didn't even know, but she said, I found it was fascinating and I thought I would teach both perspectives. And I thought, well, this really was wonderful. So you never know. You don't know, even with your curriculum and the help that I'm sure you've got a ton of kids who over the years have, written and thanked you for all of your help and parents, but and if anyone's out there and if you've benefited, please do write Vicki in because a lot of times we only hear the negative.
We love to connect with our very many seventh sisters because there's 6 of us 7 sisters, but all of our friends are the 7th sister.
I love it. Felice. I love it. I think you had explained that twice. I kept going, where is the 7th sister? No, it's you. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. We had such a great time. I think I came to the one in I think there was one in North Carolina, and then there was one in Washington or right outside of DC that I came to. I went to two.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful. Well, Vicki, thank you so much for coming. You can find more information about Vicki and all that they do at sevensistershomeschool.com, as well as Vicki, and it's VICKI Tillman coaching.com. And I'll have links to all of that in the show notes, as well as, information about her podcast on this network. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Felice. This
Wonderful.
is fun.
Well, guys, thanks so much for listening, and look for time management for teens on the vintagehomeschoolmoms.com website. This is episode 411. And so you'll find the show notes there. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and thevintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.